eNCA now. A very good afternoon to you. I'm Thembekile Mkhototo. Dear Leader Mmusi Maimane has addressed residents of KwaMashu in KwaZulu-Natal today. That's where he's made his party's final push for votes before the country goes to the polls tomorrow. Maimane was accompanied by the party's premier candidate in KwaZulu-Natal, Zwakele Mncwango. eNCA's Siphamandla Goge attending that rally for us earlier. Siphamandla joining us live now from Durban, I believe. Siphamandla, so run us through the main points of Mmusi Maimane's address, I beg your pardon.
Absolutely, it was the same DA election promises. Maimane saying that the DA-led government will be tough on crime, calling for stricter rules and tight borders, saying he's not being xenophobic, but he wants South Africans to feel safe. He wants everyone who comes to South Africa to be documented. Basically, he took his party's final rally, final push to the ANC stronghold, because KwaMashu, many people would recall that the township used to be the hub and it used to be the center for the ANC activities during the struggle. So he claims that the DA is growing in KwaZulu-Natal, the DA is growing in those townships whom were traditionally known as ANC strongholds. But I think what was interesting when I interviewed him after his address, I asked him about a possibility of a coalition government. Who is he willing to work with? He said it's not about who is he willing to work with, but what will be offered. Let's listen to what he had to say about a possible coalition government.
I think the dangerous question would be to say who. Because I don't know what's going to happen to the EFF. I hear they are being offered cabinet positions by Ramaphosa. So and the ANC itself has its own problems. I think they are going to split that organization. They are dying. So let's not talk about the who. Let's talk about the what. What is important? That's why I outlined even today the principles that say we will build a non-racial South Africa. We will build a party that we will work with parties that oppose corruption. We want to work with people who will build a capable state, who want to build a market-based economy. We want to ensure that we have a plan for government. If we don't agree on a plan, what's the point of going into coalition? So the question is not who, it's the what, and I will make sure that those principles are in place. Already we're willing to negotiate, but we will negotiate on those principles. And I can tell you now, if it means that we cannot agree on those things, we will never compromise our principles, never go into government with anybody. Let the people vote for the DA so that we can dictate what's going to happen.
So Siphamandla, Mmusi Maimane is seemingly trying to avoid as best as he can the idea of a coalition, especially in the KZN area. And one, I suppose, can't blame him, because the coalitions the DA went into after the 2016 election have been complex, to say the least. You think of Nelson Mandela Bay and the removal of the DA's Athol Trollip as mayor. You look at the situation in Johannesburg, where Herman Mashaba has also had a bit of a tough time. Mmusi Maimane also not having the easiest ride.
Absolutely. The context of my question was based on that. But interestingly, Thembekile, is the fact that DA leader in KwaZulu-Natal and their premier candidate, that is Zwakele Mncwango, says they are willing to work with anyone except the ANC. He was very clear before interviewing Mmusi Maimane. I had an interview with Zwakele Mncwango, who is the DA leader in KwaZulu-Natal and their premier candidate. He told me that they will work with anyone, including the EFF. But of course, they've got a set of principles, but they are willing to work with them. Remember, in KwaZulu-Natal, in some municipalities, they are working with the EFF, with the IFP. So he said they will continue with that working arrangement and that working relationship. But later on, Mmusi Maimane, I did ask him about his political future, because many people are saying if the DA does not do well after tomorrow's elections, he will be chopped as a DA leader. He said he was not worried. This is what he had to say.
Many people ask me that question all the time. I'm not even worried about it. I don't lose sleep over that issue. We're building one South Africa for all. We're pursuing a dream. It's that dream that we must focus on. Don't worry about the position. Worry that you've got something to fight for. And what we are fighting for is one South Africa for all. And so I'm not worried. I don't lose sleep over that thing. When I speak to anybody you like, I'm committed to building that dream of one South Africa for all. We are the only party that will bring South Africans of all races together.
Siphamandla, you've been able to follow Julius Malema or the EFF around KZN. The ANC, you've also been on the campaign trail with them, and now Mmusi Maimane today at this final rally in the province. When you look at the reaction of the various communities, what are people making of the promises that these parties have put forward, given that they're sometimes so similar?
I think the I think the biggest question has been the how part. Like you have correctly pointed out that we have followed ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa in KwaZulu-Natal. In KwaMashu, where Maimane was campaigning today, EFF leader Julius Malema visited that section. He campaigned there. He did some door-to-door campaigns there. People were saying, how are you going to do these things? We hear you are promising jobs. We hear you are promising service delivery. But how are you going to do it? Because we have had these promises in the past. All these leaders have been warmly received in KwaZulu-Natal, but they've had to face some difficult questions from the voters saying, how are you going to do it? Why should we trust you this time around? Because you have come here in the past, you have promised this, but after the elections, people are still complaining about water in KwaMashu, issues of electricity, sanitation, and housing. So I think maybe after Wednesday, that's where the biggest test will come, when people decide who to vote for. But all these leaders have faced those difficult questions as to how are they going to do these things.
eNCA reporter Siphamandla Goge live for us from our Durban studio. Thank you.